Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The important news and editorial that will be relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 17th of March. The first important news, that is EC proposal of e-postal ballot for the overseas voters under review. This is what the minister has informed to the Rajya Sabha. Second, NIOT, National Institute of Ocean Technology, to set up green desalination plant in Lakshadweep. Third, more than 1 lakh people opted for PF pension. We'll see the detail. Second last, that is the Defence Acquisition Council clear defence acquisition proposal. And the last is an editorial, tested but tried, this force could be distress. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful for examination purposes, do press a like button. And if you're looking forward for the mentorship support program, we have a personalized mentorship program specifically for the aspirant of civil services examination. This will be an integrated individual level preparation which will be focusing upon. Weekly assignment will be provided to you and followed by Sunday test. There will be regular in-person mentorship, coverage come revision target plan will be there, and scientific performance tracking system will be there to evaluate yourself whether you are exam ready or not. If you are interested, do check it out with the video description link where I provided a dedicated link to find more details about the personalized support programs. Now starting the news session of the first news, that is Election Commission's proposals of e-postal ballot for the overseas voters is under review. This is something important for General Studies paper 2, that is Parliament and State Legislature, functions, conduct of businesses, power, privileges and issues arising from it. So recently the Union Minister for Law and Justice has informed the Rajya Sabha that said that the Elections Commission proposal to facilitate the electronic transmissions postal ballot system for the overseas Indian voter is under consideration, right? So the Ministry of External Affairs is looking forward with her. This is what the statement was there from the Minister of Law and Justice, because when it comes to India's overseas, basically the voters, definitely the role of Ministry of External Affairs is something which is mandatory. Their approval, their NOC and their guideline is mandatory. Now total number of voters for electoral for as of January 2023 stand of 1.15 lakh. So this is how the postal voting stamps look like. There are other procedures, there are other guidelines that will be there by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Law and Justice. Now proposals to amend the conduct of elections rule 1961. This is something important. Before anything that come into place, a proposal and amendment is required. The Election Commission of India has taken the proposal to amend the conduct of business rule 1961, which will call for the facilitations of electronic transmitted postal ballot system for the overseas electors. So this can be an important question even for the prelims examination, or specifically if you're writing in mains also, you can quote this, that proposals to conduct the rules of election rules of 1961 is mandatory. Now the matter is under discussion with the Ministry of External Affairs to iron out, means to look for the solutions, the logistic challenges which is there, and even to implement the proposal at the earliest. Now issue of photo identity card is again important. In India, we are operating with two important identity card, that is income tax PAN card, which is there, right, which is issued by the income tax department, and the other is Aadhaar card. So these two linkages has also been made mandatory by the government of India recently. So according to the Election Commission website, as of now, the overseas voter is not issued photo identity card and are allowed to vote in person in the polling station by producing their original passport. So for time being, they are only operating with the passport and no other photo identity card has been issued to them. So this is at the time that a photo identity card is also mandatory. And the Election Commission has maintained that the overseas voter find it difficult to fly down to India to cast a vote. So these problems, these shortcomings has to be filled by the Government of India and even by the Election Commission of India. Now moving to the other news, that is NIOT to set up green desalination plant in Lakshadweep, something important. There can be a direct question where many other government examinations they can ask you the place. So the place is Lakshadweep. This particular news is important for General Studies paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation and EIA. So what is NIOT? NIOT stands for National Institute of Ocean Technology, is looking forward and stepping up its stand where they'll be going with part of providing potable water on 6 islands of Lakshadweep using the low temperature thermal desalination technology. This is known as LTTT. There can be a direct question in the prelims examination for this year also. They will ask you what are the things and what are the process, what are the procedures that is followed for the low temperature thermal desalinations, right? ये desalinations technology की बात करें. I'll be telling you the detail about this in a while. But before that, currently the desalination process of each, which provide 1 lakh liters of potable water every day, are powered by the diesel generators that are being no source of power to the island. तो पावर नहीं होने की वजह से वहाँ पे डीजल के मोटर्स को यूज की जाती है, which is again causing a lot of detrimental to the environment pollutions. Now, if you talk about the part of National Institute of Ocean Technology, कुछ basic समझते हैं इसके बारे में, because this is an organization which is there in news. So it is an autonomous institute under the aegis of Ministry of Earth and Sciences. Many a times UPSC has directly asked the questions about the ministry. So this is important. And the chief objective of the institute is to develop indigenous technology, जहाँ पे various engineering problems जो related हैं, whether it comes with the harvesting of the non-living and the living resources in Indian exclusive economic zone, which is about 2/3 of the land area. Now the institute engaged developing technology for sustainable utilization of the ocean resources as well. Now coming to the part and process of the low temperature thermal desalinations की अगर बात करें, this is the image that will help you understand in a better way. See, this is the ocean water, right? There's a filter cap which is intact. So this goes with the filter, and here with the help of solar energy, the part of desalinations take place and the salt and mineral are left back to the ocean and the fresh water is being used for human purposes or for drinking waters. So this is how the technology works, a process under which the warm water, sea water is flashed and evaporated at low pressures and the water vapor is condensed and cold deep water seas. And LTD technology does not require any chemical or post-treatment of the seawater. Thus, the pollutions of problem and minimal and suitable for the island territory as well. So this is something which is sustainable in nature also. And LTD technology is completely indigenous, robust and environmental friendly. So this diagram is important. Suppose you get a question in mains examination, you can even draw this diagram. Now, desalinations plant in operations की अगर बात करें, now currently there are 5 desalination plant which is operational in Lakshadweep Island, and it is expected to functions in the coming month, and most proposals sustained plant is 10th, which is expected to be ready this year, right? Now, more than 1 lakh people opted for higher PF pension, something important for General Studies paper 2. Under the subtopic, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So recently the central government has informed the Rajya Sabha that 1,20,279 of total employee has opted for higher pension in EPFO, right? EPFO is an organization which is taking care for the part of pensions for the organized and unorganized sectors. So in November 2022, what has happened? That the Honorable Supreme Court, the apex court of the country, has directed EPFO to give 4-month time to the subscriber to have a higher level of contributions in the EPS 1995. So अगर बात करें employment provident scheme 1995, which is very important, and there's another scheme called EPF, the Employment Provident Fund. I'll give you the detail about both of them. A comparison will be there in the later part of the video to give you a better understanding. Now, total number of beneficiaries in accordance with the directions were given by the Supreme Court, जहाँ पे court ने कहा था that employees must be given an options to choose a higher part of their contribution, and the center has said that only the eligible individual will be allowed to go for this. Now the ministry said there is no options under the employment pension schemes. अगर EPS की अगर बात करें तो EPS schemes के अंदर जो employees की contribution है वो allowed नहीं है, right? So there is no contribution. I'll tell you the complete comparison part for a better understanding. Before I come to the EPS Act, just compare these two. तो दोनों comparison की अगर बात करें, this is very very important. This will help you in many government examination also. So EPF, that is Employment Provident Fund, and EPS, that is Employment Provident Scheme. How does this work? What is the application and what are the major difference? So applications की अगर बात करें, EPF is applicable to organization where number of employees is more than 20. अगर किसी organizations में 20 members हैं तो EPF mandatory होगी. Now EPS is applicable to individual who are the member of EPFO and they contribute to their EPF account. Now whether who the employers are eligible in this? Yes, it is available for all employees, and it is available for the employees whose basic pay and dearness allowance is up to 15,000 rupees. So there's a capping of the prices. This is what the Supreme Court has said to look into the part of the contribution. Now the employees contribution की अगर बात करें, EPF, just specifically talking about the EPF part, in EPF there is a 12% contribution that is coming with part of the employees. 12% of basic salary plus DA, that is dearness allowance. और EPS के अंदर employees की contribution nil होती है, ये zero होती है. This is again something very important. Now employer contribution, and a total of 20%, 3.67 is given to the contribution of EPF, and the rest goes to 8.33 goes to the EPS account, where basically post retirement the benefits are given. Now maximum contributions की अगर बात करें, 12% of their salary, and in this contribution is limited to 8.3% of the salary, which is 15,000 rupees, and the amount will be 12,050 rupees. Now interest, if you see the part of the interest that is calculated in EPF and EPS, तो EPS में कोई interest नहीं मिलती है because there is no interest paid to the EPS scheme, and the interest is calculated every month and paid at the end of the financial year. So like when you file TDS or any other sort of income tax, तो उसी के जैसे यहाँ पे भी financial year के end पे ही आपको जो interest आपने earn किया है वो calculate होती है. And looking at some of the important point at employees pension scheme, that is EPS 1995. So the Employment Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provision Act did not originally provide for any kind of pension. So by default, since inception, it was not there. The pension as a concept was not there. In 1995, through an amendment, this scheme was brought in, where the pension fund was comprises of deposit for 8.33% of the employee's contribution that was made towards the fund corpus, right? And to this context, the Supreme Court has asked to raise the bar. No, the bar should be raised. The EPS, which is administrated by EPFO, aims to provide the part of the pensions at the age after 58, right? And the employees and employer contribute to 12% to their basic salary in EPF, not in EPS. And the employer's entire part goes to the EPF, while 12% of the contribution is made by employer in a split of 3.67% of the contributions to EPF and 8.33% goes to EPS. Apart from this, the Government of India contribute 1.16%. This is again very important. This is a contribution which is made from Government of India, and employees do not contribute to the pension scheme. This is again an important point, that employees do not contribute to the part of the pension scheme. Now, EPS Amendment 2014 की अगर बात करें, the EPS Amendment 2014 has raised the pensionable salary cap to 15,000, where earlier it was 6,500 rupees only, and allowed the members and employers to contribute 8.33% of their actual salaries, right? And all EPS members on September 1st, 6 months opted for the amendment scheme. And this was extended by another 6 months on the discretion of Regional Provident Fund Commissioner, which is called RPFC, right? So RPFC को ये power दी गई है that we should allow whether there should be a part should be, whether the date should be extended or not. Now, moving to the other news, DAC clears defense acquisition proposal, something important for General Studies Paper 2, under the subtopic that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from design and implementations. So the Defense Acquisition Council, the apex body when it comes to defense procurement, which is chaired by the Defense Minister, has finally given its accord or assent to the acceptance of necessity. This is called AON, which is a mandatory procedure that has to be followed for acquisition of any defense equipment. And this a total of 70,500 crore rupees amount has been allowed to buy IDDM, that is indigenously designed, developed and manufacturing categories में इसे allow की गई है, जो भी indigenous होंगी उसे ही production. Now just to give you a brief idea why India is moving more toward Indianization, because India also looking forward to reduce its import. अगर import की बात करें, we want to reduce, and even if you see the at present context, Russia is having war with Ukraine, right? And even we are not able to buy some of the product because of the sanction which is there from the United States. So these are some of the other reasons where India is looking forward to have its own indigenous part of development and manufacturing. Now, since the project are also long gestation period which involve indigenous design development, including the development of marine design engine. Now, procurement proposals की अगर बात करें, there for Indian Navy, the Navy procurement include BrahMos cruise missile, उसके अलावा शक्ति electronic warfare system, utility helicopter maritimes, and AON is being there for long-winding procurement process. Now, apart from Indian Navy, Indian Air Force will buy long-range standoff weapons that is designed and developed indigenously, and integrated Su-300 fighters and indigenous 155 caliber towered artillery gun along with the high mobility vehicles and gun towering vehicles will be there for the army. So there will be specific part of the procurement that will take place for army, navy and air forces. Now about Defense Acquisition Council, the Defense Acquisition Council is the highest decision making body, and this under the chairmanship of the Defense Minister was constituted with overall guidance and defense procurement planning and processes. The objective of the Defense Acquisition Council is to expedite the process of procurement and the requirement for the armed forces, and it was basically the concept was conceptualized by the government of India after the Kargil war that there should be a Defense Acquisition Council looking forward for the procurement processes. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, tested but tired, thus force could be in distress. Something important for General Studies Paper 3, that is various security forces, agencies and their mandate. Now, what are the areas of discussion here? So first, the theme is need for welfare measures for security forces. A warning sign will be seen that, and even the concern that is there, need for parity, and the conclusion part. Now, in order to enhance the restructuring the forces and deployment, the center has granted approval for the construction and upgradations of temporary camp of the CISF, that is Central Industrial Security Force, and CRPF, that is Central Reserve Police Force in Jammu and Kashmir. This was a decision that was taken by the Union government to augment and restructure the part of the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir. And just to bring something into light, that the army which is an operation with Jammu and Kashmir, they will be also replaced by CRPF and CISF. Very soon, gradually government is looking forward to do this. Now there's a warning sign. Why? Because the internal security scenario in the country is showing marginal improvement in the insurgency affected area in the northeastern. But बहुत significant improvement नहीं है, because the left wing extremist area are also terrorist affected, and specifically the area of Kashmir. Now, there is the point where deployment of the forces become very important, and the de-inductions of the Indian Army has taken place to void, and basically that is mainly filled by the CRPF. So, जहाँ पे army की deployment है, government is replacing them with the CRPF forces. Now, some concerns: if these forces are there, the central government that is compelled to have entrusted number of assignment. ये जो रिस्क है इस फोर्सेस को डिप्लॉय करने की विल कॉल फॉर मोर वर्सैलिटी एंड फ्लेक्सिबल ऑपरेशन प्रोसीजर्स, which they forces they are actually, but they are not on specifically part on the mission that is there for that specific area. So the personnel who is continuing to task will be overstressed, the duty will be overstressed without any respite or rest. So they need to have a maintain in part of the human resources which is their inter-paramilitary forces, and consequently the training will be compromised, and there's need to enhance the tactical skills that cannot be overlooked between the forces. Now, need for parity. What makes the observations of Pulwama? See, there is something which we have seen that during the Pulwama, close to 94 and 95 people died, right? Close to 100. So this death of the army personnel and the personnel from the CRPF called for a demand with the old pension. खास करके उनके फैमिलीज ने डिमांड की कि उनके ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम रिव्यू होनी चाहिए, एंड देयर शुड बी दिस इज समथिंग दैट विल हेल्प द फैमिलीज टू गेट अ कांस्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ द सैलरी. Now the old pension scheme was stopped by the personal joining services after December 2003. जिन्होंने दिसंबर के बाद ज्वाइन किया उनके लिए स्टॉप कर दी गई है, and the Delhi High Court has ordered and reiterated that part that the forces, specifically CRPF, should be categorized as the armed forces of Union. Now, the fraternity is grieved despite having the warlike situation on the basis of the recognized public and judiciary. Now, the government is reluctant to grant paramilitary forces this benefit, which should be done at the earliest, because a life sacrifice for the nation should always be respected for individual and for the family members. Now, to conclude this part, the most important goal is to observe the Pulwama state to avoid the repeat park of any dark that has happened. And even before that, there was an attack in Chhattisgarh, Dantewada district, where 54 CRPF people has also died. Now, the morale of the security personnel need to be kept high, and a genuine grievance redressal mechanism for India paramilitary forces need to be addressed. So these are the things that need to be taken care of. Now, moving to the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is B. Today's MCQ for practice about the central bank digital currency. The digital currency is the currency issued by the central bank on a sovereign nation. This can be damaged or lost due to any physical form. So do check it out for the correct option. Now, the second is Mission Shakti scheme. The Union Ministry for Health and Family Welfare is implementing body for this scheme, and it aims to ensure life cycle support system to women through integrated care. So these are the two options that you have to choose for the correct option. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.